Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels podcast. That audio is spiking. Holy fuck. This week in the fucking podcast, I'm Cal G. To my left is Mike Kent.
Well introduced.
Yes. This is a 5-minute warning. This isn't actually being recorded the week you're hearing it. This is in the past.
Yeah,
or in the future.
This is another filler cast. One of us again has obligations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So we're going to be doing another 5-minute warning. You guys seem to like these. So we're going to pop up some questions, which I have to find a timer for. And we will go through all of those. Again, remember guys, if you want for our future 5-minute warnings to drop off a question yourself, leave them in the comments below, or send us an email, or tweet at us, whatever you want to do.
Send an email at meetpensandpixels@gmail.com, or you can tweet at me, at the CalG, or at Mike Kent Draws.
Yep. So we're going to kick this off with our first question.
It's time for the 5-minute warning. Woo!
Did you tell me this music was from again?
Oh, it's from like a remix of The Purge.
Great.
Isn't that fantastic?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's such an unexpected, like, oh.
So everyone out
Nobody ever expected that.
Everyone else out there, you just don't know Purge.
It's the Purge planet, Morty.
This is Purge.
Okay, alright. Okay, start the timer.
Started.
With Uncharted: The Lost Legacy receiving a $40 price tag and getting backlash, what is the right price for a game? So,
like for a full, is that a full game or?
So this is a DLC.
Oh.
That is, it's also they're saying Naughty Dog's saying it's roughly 10 hours long, like say in between 8 and 10. So it's a hefty piece, and that's like the length of like Uncharted 2, you know.
Yeah, but Uncharted 3 wasn't 10 hours. I mean, they're like 20-hour games max.
Yeah, no, but I mean like Uncharted 2 and 3 were like, you know, 10 to 12-hour experiences, right? Yeah. So this piece of DLC is like almost a full Uncharted game, and they're charging $40 for it.
It's like half of an Uncharted game, and yeah, they're charging $40 for it.
Yeah, and that seems about right to me. Naughty Dog does great work.
Again, I think this kind of falls to almost the quality of what they're releasing. So they're releasing Uncharted quality, which was gorgeous graphics, incredible voice acting, right, and to many people, good writing. And this time, actually, for this one, it was good writing, thanks to Mr.
Neil Druckmann.
Our little sweetheart, Neil Druckmann. So you know you're going to get some high-quality shit out of this, and you're going to get 10 hours of high-quality gameplay, and you weren't going to get any more Uncharted anytime soon. So you're getting this little droplet. So like for this is worth its price tag. But I do understand that complaint where people are like, why is this game at this price? It's not worth this price, right? So break it down into two components. For a full game, right, do you consider the current price tag of, let's just say 70 to round it out, because some are 80, some are like 60,
We're Canadian, by the way, so we have to pay slightly more for video games.
Yes. So like 70 is a good mid-range for most.
I would say 70.
AAA games out there. Like, do you think that's too high of a price tag for a game?
I mean, with tax, some of these games are coming to like $85, $90. You know,
Yes.
like I bought Persona 5 and it came into like almost 90, I think.
Did you get add-on stuff with that?
Nope.
Oh.
No, it was just $90.
Was it?
Yeah.
I just pressed pay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I
I mean, it's not something that like we're both adults with jobs and we don't really have to worry about like the cost of games necessarily. I mean, if we were buying like $300 pre-order bonuses or whatever, maybe.
Or if we were buying games consistently, like we buy games. Well, I mean, currently this is a little bit more of a rare time, but I bought 3 in the last 2 months. But most of the time, it's usually 1 game every 2 months.
Yeah, like I never really have a problem paying people what they think their product is worth. You know, like I think Persona 5 is worth that amount of money. You know, at least I love this fucking game. I think Horizon was worth this amount of money.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some AAA titles out there that probably aren't worth $60.
No, like I'm still pissed off. I paid as much as I did for fucking
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Like I'm pissed about that price.
I see a lot of price complaints about smaller games, like when The Witness came out. Like it was, I think The Witness was like $40, and it's just this puzzle game where you walk around, and a lot of people are like, "What? That seems like too much." But it's like, you know, like I mean, it's price is so subjective. You know, it's where you are in life at the time.
And the quality of the game itself. I mean, like, if we just ignore, like, it's not right to ignore, but if we move on past, like, how much money a person makes as an income, You know, like, does that kind of money hit your account in a way that's a little bit like, ugh. And $90 is crossing a line. I mean, I know Persona 2 matters, but like even if I had paid $90 for Horizon, which I wasn't knowing, because Persona was going to be good in some way no matter what.
Yeah.
Horizon I didn't know, and 90 came up, I would be like, whoa, right? And I think I paid 78 or something like that for Horizon. I didn't do any of the add-on shit.
Yeah.
Which for that game was actually completely unnecessary. So like that price range was fine for me. But like if I had to pay 90 for Horizon without knowing, I was like, right? And then I think Mass Effect came up to over 80, and while it didn't turn out to be the greatest Mass Effect ever, it was still a very good Mass Effect. Like that price tag again was fine for me because I was like Mass Effect, right? So it's so subjective on the quality of the content.
That's the thing. It feels like it's so different for people. You know, like if you are on a tight budget and you want a game to last a long time, you pay $90 for a Persona, you get like 120 hours out of it. That might be worth it for you. But if you went and bought fucking the new Gears of War, Gears of War was like 9 hours, and it cost
then that's a good one.
$75. And
does Timeline make the price more different? Because the last 3 games we played are over 40 hours minimum, right? They're like,
you're like bang for the buck. Right?
And I really did, like, after I played them, and I played Horizon for like fucking 60 hours, and then Mass Effect for 90, and now I'm gonna play Persona for like 120. Price paid.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Done, and the experiences have been so like I haven't had this much fun in gaming in years. So much great content in one shot. Does time length make a difference?
I think
to me, yes.
I think it does. I don't always think necessarily. I'm thinking back to harken back to the One Up Yours days. Garnet Lee had a quote where he said like he'd pay like $1,000 for the Journey experience because it meant that much to him, and like obviously not. I feel like he was being a bit hyperbolic in that situation, but you know, different things are worth different things to people. I think that gaming is getting maybe like a little too pricey when it's getting into the $90 per game side, but I think the range of stuff we have, like we have indies that are $15, that are $10 that you can spend. Like Salt and Sanctuary cost me like $15, and I spent like 45 hours of that game. I was playing for like 3 weeks when you came over. So
yeah, but then in the contrast, like how much was Firewatch? It was like $30, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that felt too pricey for me for what that game was. And we both love Firewatch.
Yeah.
But like that's the price tag for a game that was just a walking simulator for 8 hours. Not even. I think it's like 4.
I really want to I always want to check what Firewatch's price was when it came out.
Yeah. But I remember when it happened, and I was looking at it, and I knew what kind of game it was. I was like, So to really answer the question at the end of the day, it's very subjective per the game, and I think that personally between me and Cal, it's the same thing. It's like the developers need to think about what kind of game they're going to be releasing, and is it worth that price point? And as for the Uncharted DLC, yes, I think it's very much worth it, considering the quality of what that's going to be.
Firewatch says $19.99 right now. It was probably $20. I don't know if it was 30.
It was more than 20.
I mean, this is also now, so maybe last year was $10 more.
It was more than 20. It was closer to 30, I think, after tax. And when I came through, it was like a little bit like. And I know that there's pieces of that pie that segmented off: the piece for the PSN, the piece for the fucking subscription, the piece for the all of that shit.
$19.99 seems like a sweet spot for that game.
Yeah, that seems fine for me.
All right, next question. Is this the best year in gaming? If not, what is? Now, we don't have a list in front of us or anything.
No, but I can go back over my memory. But okay, this is kind of funny. Me and Kyle talked about this off air many times. This beginning of this year has been insane.
Insane.
Like,
for
insanely good.
The amount of variety for just people, not even necessarily us, but like, even for us, but like, just for people in general. Like, there's so many good things that came out. Like, starting with Resident Evil 7 came out. Neo. Nier. A lot of people fucking enjoying that. Yeah. Zelda. A ton of people enjoying that. Persona 5, Horizon, like
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, like so many fucking things that people are just loving, and they're all like most of these are meaty games that are long. Like,
and they're all very close together, so we're getting them without being like, okay, I beat this 6 months until my next good game. Because like last year was bullshit with the amount of time between good games. It was just like, how much fucking indie game can I find to fill the gap?
Yeah.
Like you and I did that for like the first half of the podcast. We were sitting around going like, I've got nothing to play. Indies? You know, like what indies are you playing? We got tons of indies. So the beginning of this year has been heavily front loaded with incredible stuff. But if you look at the release schedule, as of after Prey, it is dead.
There's stuff coming out like later this year that we know about, but it's not interesting to us.
No.
Like there's Call of Duty World War II.
Yeah.
People seem excited going back to that. Battlefront, the new Battlefront, people seem excited about that. Fucking Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Like there is stuff to be excited about. We're just not.
No. And we're as you're right. Like we're not just not, but in the way that like Zelda or Mass Effect or Horizon or fucking Persona have resonating. Like you drop that name and well, Horizon doesn't count in that list, but had like that resonating. Like, oh my god, I'm finally getting the next. Like, there's nothing like that coming out for the rest of the year except for Destiny 2.
Yeah,
maybe.
and even that's
and
like
even then, for that,
lukewarm.
Yeah. So like, this is the best start of a year I've had
in a long
like
time,
a decade almost.
Yeah.
Is it
it's the best? I think it's the best year in this console generation.
This console
so
generation,
far,
no
for
question
sure.
asked. No question asked. Yeah, it's the best start. Like the PS4 is getting its stride on finally. The devs are starting to release the games that were meant for this console. As for previous years,
2007 always sticks out in my mind because I know BioShock came out that year, and there was a lot of other good ones. I'm just
I
gonna look
remember
it up real
2007 was a great year too. Had a whole bunch of shit. There were a couple of years in the past too. I mean, for back in the PS like 1 days, the time around Final Fantasy 7 was an amazing time. But the big year was actually the release of Final Fantasy X Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah,
they both came out really close to each other, and there were a ton of really great games that were coming out from small Japanese studios. I think Threads of Fate was around that time. Dark Cloud 2 was around that time. There's a huge list. So like that generation doesn't fall into 1 year because I know it passed over the Christmas season over to the next year. But there was a year span between those two that was fucking genius. And I remember picking up every PlayStation magazine being like, what else is coming out? I can't find them all. Like, it was so good.
1997, a lot of people are saying, apparently, because it has Castlevania Symphony of the Night, GoldenEye 007, Star Fox 64, Final Fantasy 7, Grand Theft Auto, Gran Turismo, Street Fighter 3, Tomb Raider 2, Tekken 3. Yeah, that's all pretty good.
That was, like I was saying, the Final Fantasy 7 year was a really good year, too. So there's been a lot of great years, but this is shaping up as one of the best starts in gaming for a long time.
I can't remember a time when it was this condensed in this like just packed area. Like I still want to go back and I've got to play Resident Evil 7 still. I want to play Nier. I want to play. I kind of want to play Neo. I want to play Mass Effect. Like there's all the games that came out. Like I'm at least vaguely interested in them. You know, like
even after I'm done with Persona 5, and despite my interests don't really fall into a lot of those games, I'm actually very excited. Or medium excited in comparison to play Prey, even though it's basically Skyshock or Spatial-Shock.
Spatial-Shock, yeah.
But I'm still very interested in the game because it does look really neat, and I hope it does turn out to be very cool.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. And hope against hope that Destiny 2 accomplishes all the goals it didn't achieve in the first one and makes me come back. Like that's maybe a 10% chance, but
yeah,
I hope, and if it does, yay.
And we still have E3 coming, and I think there's going to be a couple things announced at E3 where they're going to be like, it's this year, it's coming out like November.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to get a couple of shockers.
Yeah.
So I think this year is going to shape up to be the best year for this console, no questions asked. Is it the best year of gaming I've ever had? If we go through with the current slate plus maybe a 2 spontaneous, oh my god, that's coming out.
It's got to be like top. Yeah, I mean, just with Horizon and Persona 5 for me, it's got to be like top 3.
Top 3? No, I would say top 5. Yeah, for sure. Top 5 years.
Yeah. Real good. Is the time? Sorry. Oh, yeah, wow.
I was going to say we're right done.
Okay.
Hey, watch out.
Next question.
Question that is next.
Could we ever see peripherals come back in a big way, like when Guitar Hero and Wii accessories were huge? Maybe with VR?
Yeah, so that's the sorry, what's that called? Like the caveat for the whole thing is no, we will never see physical devices in our house. So that, like you see a PlayStation hooked up at some like hardcore gamer's house, and they've got like the guitar system in the corner, and then
the balance board,
and all that shit, and the mat down for DDR and all that. Like those peripherals, no, those will never come back ever again. We don't want that gear in our house. We don't. Tech is always getting smaller, more refined.
There's got to just be like a fucking like a Value Village just full of like old guitars.
Just go right now. They're there.
Tons.
They're there right now.
There's like a landfill waiting to happen.
Yeah, pretty much. And like the fucking DJ one and the drum one and like fuck everything. The amount of Wii sticks that actually were in there for a long time.
Oh yeah, fuck.
Yeah, no, like we'll never see those peripherals. If you look at technology in general today, it's always about making it more compact and more like about being all in one, right? We want less cords and less devices and less things. even look at fucking VR in itself. Like we want less than a headset, and the idea of having like this whole kit that you have to sit in like a swing that's gonna make you be able to walk in place or some shit. No one wants to set that up in their house. They want to walk
That's
around.
the thing, yeah. Like the experience could be more immersive and cool, but it's like I also don't want like a fucking jungle gym.
Yeah, and like we have a long way to go before we tackle how to walk around a room and not bump into your fucking dining room table every time. So like augmented reality is going to be before that, and that's where our peripherals are going to be. Like if you're going to have sticks, it's going to be gloves you're wearing that are going to mimic sticks in your hands in the virtual world, or you know you're going to just hold those two sticks even more like current and then like do something with those. But we're not going to be getting back into the guitar days. It's VR will be the next thing. It's going to be a virtual guitar.
It was even shocking that happened to me. You know, like that it was so ubiquitous, and everyone just had a guitar in their house, and like.
How is that so shocking? It made total sense.
No, because it is this big plastic Fisher-Price looking guitar. It's just
design-wise, I was baffled that people thought that was cool. That
just like
that thing looked like the guitar that you had as a 5-year-old, and they're just like, "Hey, look, you might be a guitarist when he gets older." Like,
yeah.
Like, but yeah, no, they were baffling.
Like if someone came, like if I'm the man at a board meeting and I got a mustache and I'm balding and I'm like,
why is this always the man you picture?
Because this is the man in charge of every company, and he's fucking, and they're like, okay, look, we got this fucking Fisher-Price looking guitar, and everyone in the country's gonna own one. And you're like, I'd be like, what? No, there's no way. Like, there's no way the masses are gonna buy this, and they all did, you know.
But it was the easiest way, because one, you're not staring at it the whole time, but it was the easiest way to let everyone's dream of being a rock star without having to learn how to play guitar. Like that's the genius behind it, right?
Oh yeah, it was just addictive to play. Like it was fun as hell.
Yeah. And it was a great way to to get people involved in gaming again, because we were approaching faster and faster, less players in a game, and more single player content and or online content. So like this was this weird break where someone came in and was like, "This is the last thing we didn't do before you all go and hide in your holes." Like
this is the last time you guys can interact in the same room.
Yeah, pretty much. And they did push it too far when they eventually like have the whole band, and I'm like, no one's doing that.
I never did that. I don't know many people who did, but Rock Band sold well enough to have like 5 sequels and a Beatles spin-off and a fucking...
Now, here's the interesting part.
Sum 41 spin-off. I don't know if they did that.
The only song anyone ever did was that stupid fucking Wind and Fire one or whatever, fuck.
Oh, Song of Ice and Fire?
Is that it? Yeah. That's the only song everyone did.
By Drakengard? I don't know their names.
Yeah, I've heard that song so many fucking times.
Yeah, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one everyone plays.
That was really good. That was my rendition of whatever that fucking band is.
Does that Bill and Ted do that?
Yeah.
It was kind of funny as an oxymoron to it is like the whole not playing in peripherals thing. At the Blurry Pixel, which we host our art jams at every second Thursday of the month.
Plug.
They have the full guitar band set up. There are people on that thing every single time.
It's almost better in a situation like that because you're social, you're friends, and it's just there.
The future of the arcade is back because we all actually want to. These pubs there's 5 of them in town now. They've all appeared within the last 3 years. They're all doing exceedingly well. We all want to go back out and hang out. The Smash Brothers tournament thing was huge. It's a whole collective now run by the guy I used to work with at Simfront. And like it's huge. They all get together. They get together once a month or twice a month, and they have a full thing. And there's like 45 of them a night, no matter what. And you know, like we want to get back together. So like peripherals in that context is funny. Like get me out of the house, and I'll stick myself in front of a plastic guitar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then it's rotting in someone else's house, not your own.
Yeah. Or in a bar, getting covered in.
You don't gotta bring it home with you.
Yeah. Oh my god, I couldn't imagine like at any of these game bars. They drink. Like I've seen them drink, and I've seen a few people a little bit drunk. But since they're all nerds, none of them get like bro in jeans and a baseball cap smashed at a pub somewhere.
No one's getting rowdy.
No one gets like smashed.
We're all respectful.
No, they're just fucking nerds. Like they don't want to be there for that.
We're just fucking nerds. All right, next question.
That sounds like you were fucking nerds.
I'm just fucking nerds. The Candy by Willy Wonka. All right, next up.
That's their song for their next fucking commercial.
Yeah, their next ad.
Is you standing there and like in your hat singing soulfully.
You can't even fuck nerds though. They're just little rocks. It wouldn't even be good.
Didn't they always look like they had butt cracks though with the weird rump ripples in them?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. I always liked the little nerd characters though. They look like anal. Now moving on. Is Is there any cultural touchstone movie or game that you don't like and find yourself constantly defending? And not defending the game, but defending yourself.
That I don't like it?
Yeah, like
when
you're like I don't like Assassin's Creed, and people are like, what? And you gotta fucking whatever.
Yeah, you do this all the time.
What I do? Most of the things that you're thinking of, I haven't seen, so I have to defend not having seen them rather than me like not liking them. And most of the times when people just ask me if they're not Mike, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that, or not along with the conversation, not knowing what they're talking about, because it's easier than being like, oh, I've never seen every movie ever. The big one that stands out to me because I'm a horror fan is I don't really like The Shining that much.
I hate The Shining. I hate that movie.
Mike got really excited for a second.
Because Jed fucking worships it. He even watched that stupid fucking documentary that's breaking it down about how intricate it is and how important in the psychological... Fuck that movie.
It's not... I personally cannot enjoy it. I appreciate the thought that went into it and the way it was filmed and stuff, and like they made
Cronenberg bullshit. Fuck it.
They make
sorry, people out there who love it, but no.
Not Cronenberg.
Oh no,
Kubrick.
You're right. Kubrick.
Yeah, Kubrickian bullshit. But yeah, I just never got into it. I watched it when I was young, and like I was hyped about it then because I knew it was The Shining, and I thought it was gonna be super spooky, and I wasn't scared at all. So I was really disappointed. And then I watched it when I was a bit older, like kind of trying to be like, well, horror movie doesn't necessarily need to like spook you all the time. Yeah. It's about atmosphere, and I tried to like reapproach it.
It gets under your skin and it like crawls underneath. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's about some idiot who listened to a ghost.
It doesn't. I like the Simpsons parody more. Yeah. You know, like I just don't like it, and it's I feel like wrong because I'm such a big horror fan. I'm like, ooh, but I really don't like this thing that everyone loves. Like, what am I missing? You know?
Yeah.
It just doesn't connect with me at all.
Mm-hmm. No, I same thing. Totally, and one of my ones is The Shining. Like, I don't get it. I've watched that movie so many times now. I've watched it probably like once every 2 or 3 months with Jed. He loves that fucking movie, and no.
Yeah.
No, like there's nothing to it. I end up like turning something else on or getting my headphones in and turning my computer on.
And the thing is, I like other Kubrick movies. It's not even like his like directorial style. Like I like Clockwork Orange, and I like 2001: A Space Odyssey and stuff.
Yeah, fucking genius movies.
But yeah, that one and you know when he goes in the horror realm, you should be like ooh, but like just nothing for me.
No, nothing.
Just leave me with a flaccid dick.
Yeah. Expecting so much more out of it. Everyone's like, oh, the kids and the blood and the what. I'm like, it's not. Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
For games, for me, for one that I always have a strong dislike for and have to defend is hating Halo. Yeah. I hate Halo. I've never liked those games. The first one came out, everyone was having a giant conniption about it, and I'm like, this is the most basic first-person shooter I've ever turned on. This is GoldenEye with a new skin. Like, there's nothing special about it. It hasn't done...
I think it blew up because of the console multiplayer, right? Because it had the GoldenEye effect again of, like, just people got to play in the same room, and they did it good, and, like, that was it.
Yeah, and then it became like part of one of the first true competitive games. I understand and appreciate its mark inside of like the world of gaming. It is a huge milestone for making competitive gaming real, and like the world of first-person shooters and opening it up to a wider market away from just nerds and stuff. Like it had a massive impact, but like game as a game, I was like, there is nothing here that I have not done before that is even interesting. And on top of all that, his design is just a fucking Doom guy outfit, just different shapes.
Green.
It's a green outfit, like, with a fucking different shape. And I'm like, it's not all that interesting. It was like, oh, I love the Doom guy, and I love Halo. And I'm like, it's because you like the same design.
And I was always surprised again. Halo is kind of, like, goofy. And, like, other things that get big, like Call of Duty's all serious and, like, kind of, you know, shitty like that. And, like, Halo's, like, really bright and purple and green. And, like, there's these fucking weird little aliens and all. And, like, this is really, like, goofy and kind of over the top. Like, I'm surprised so many people latched onto it as this, like, thing to love.
And that was the other thing. People got so like hardcore and they're like, oh, the lore, like it means so much. And I'm like, have you played other games like at all? Any? Because like all it is a guy doesn't like aliens, kills aliens, you know. And they're like, oh, Cortana, and I'm like, it's not the first person to fuck something, like, you know.
I played 3 and ODST. And that was just because like me and my roommate wanted something to play, like some co-op game. And we played through it and it was fine, but like I don't have any particularly like, oh, that was really good, or anything, you know, like, it was just...
I could never make myself play any of them, not even the campaign modes. Like, I would get in about maybe 6 hours of time, like, into the game in general with multiplayer and single player, and I was just like, I've accomplished this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have more desire in any way. Right?
But, I mean, Bungie, like, they brought the feel of shooting from Halo and refined it so much, and that's why Destiny was a pleasure to play.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like, I totally appreciate its milestone and what it represents, even code-wise, design-wise, and what they did to accomplish making such a massive, popular game that reached everyone. But, you know, like, I have to defend the fact that I didn't like playing the game.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Mm-hmm.
What character made you feel most empowered playing as them? And I think this could be anything. I don't think this necessarily has to be like, I felt powerful as Kratos.
No, but there are some of them where like their campaign, you feel like, I mean, actually, I don't want to just use a most current example, but recently Horizon, she made me feel so powerful. The story of Elizabeth Sobek and what she was as such an incredible human being, and the impact she made on saving the world and changing the world, like that entire story, I was like, what an incredible human being. And I am right now, because I put myself in games a lot. When I play, I lose myself inside of my characters that they're good. Like, I am playing her now, and I am her, like, her legacy, and my connection is to be this incredible human being who's making a massive impact. Like, she made me feel really powerful as a person, but she didn't feel like a powerful character. Like, she knew how to use her tools, but she didn't, like, go around and be like, bah!
Yeah, and I felt like, I get what you mean, though, because, like, I felt, like, empowered when, even in a cutscene where, like, when she's telling, well, you know what, I don't want to spoil anything for people who, she tells a certain group of people off at some point, and, that, even that part, I was like, yeah, like, that's really good. My two were, one is, The Walking Dead, the first season from Telltale. You play as Lee, and you're protecting, what's her dumb bitch-ass name? You're protecting the little girl. I want to say Carmen. It's not a name. Why
I don't know the character's name anymore.
Lee is protecting her, and I always felt empowered as him because at that point in the Telltale formula wasn't like beaten to death. At this point, it was the first one that did it, so like everything seemed like it mattered. Every choice seemed like really like impactful. Like maybe I'll die, and then maybe she'll die. Like who fucking knows? But so I always felt very empowered when I made the right amount of decisions, got to the end of the episode, and I was like, okay, we're both alive. I got it with her, and I got my other buddy, my other Walking Dead buddy. The other 3 people died because I made a horrible mistake, but that's fine. But it always empowered me. Like, I always felt like that. And that's just a choose-your-own-adventure game, you know? It's not like...
That's a good one, though.
Yeah, so that was one that always stuck with me. Easy answer is Dante in, like, Devil May Cry 3. Like, just... I don't feel as much with Kratos because Kratos isn't as, like, agile. The Devil May Cry is so much faster going all around. Like, I feel like...
But they conveyed that character a lot, too, with that sheer raw confidence of just, like, there's barely anything that can kill me, so, like, let's just go have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. You're, like, just juggling people, shooting them up in the air, and spiraling down, and then you hit them with both your swords, and you're switching between, like, 3 different weapons, and it's just, like... just madness on screen, and you're just controlling the battlefield every which way. Like
the 2 ones that I had a good investment in, for one you probably can agree with, is Shepard. Like when he died in the second one, they brought him back, and they were also like clamoring to bring this being
Shepard from Mass Effect. For anyone wondering, sorry.
Like Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, more 2 than any of them. Like they were clamoring to bring him back and make him. He was such this important human being, and he had this connection to like.
Yeah, you felt important in those games because
like,
you were a Spectre.
Without Shepard, and not even like being a Spectre made you feel real important. That everyone treated you differently because they're like, oh fuck, you're a Spectre. But then when he was like this guiding light and the only thing that like the tip of the sword to fighting off the Reapers, and there was this person at the end who was given the choice to decide what happens to the universe. You felt like this extremely powerful, important being. Gameplay wise, like you had powers that everyone else had at the end of the day. There was no real
and you shot a gun real good.
Yeah, like I didn't get like a sense of human power from him, but it was still conveyed even in the fights because he was like the Spectre. He was good enough to like use anything and use all weapons and any power.
Yeah, like he was. Yeah, I think that game is that actually is a really good point because like that game starts you off as like you were the first human Spectre, and like this is a big deal, and you need to prove yourself, and you're kind of a nobody at that point. Like you're Shepard, like you know.
And you were like a new Spectre too.
Yeah, exactly. So then after the course of this game, by the 3rd one, people are like, "Oh my god, that's Shepard." People talk to you like, "Oh my god, you are the Shepard. Like you're the one who you defeated the fucking Reapers in the last game and all this shit." And they remember your accomplishments.
And they're calling you that, like you are the Shepard, and you even go around and you can do ads for yourself.
Yeah, you go to shops and stuff, and they're like, "Oh my god, if you do an ad for us, I'll give you all this shit for free or discount, whatever the fuck." And like shit like that is just it's so little, but it does go a long way for you being like, wow, people know me. Like you know, I did something for this universe.
They did do a good job with actually that component in Andromeda. Like being the Pathfinder really felt important, and when you meet the other Pathfinders and stuff, like they treat you with such honor and respect, and what that means for saving their lives and actually surviving in this place. it felt really cool. Plus, you actually get powers based on the fact that you are a Pathfinder. My last one is also a completely personalized, made-up character that the game did a really good job. And again, this is BioWare with their incredible humanoid writing, because it's all about conversation with BioWare games. It's called Dragon Age Inquisition. Being the Inquisitor, by the end of the game, when you're actually in your fucking castle being the Inquisitor, like literally passing laws, and people are like dragging prisoners up to you to judge, and you're like, you die or you go to prison and shit.
That sounds satisfying.
It was incredible. I felt like this incredible human being, and suddenly all the governments were starting to come to my castle as I was building my army and coming in and trying to make deals with me. And I actually had this like key in my hand that had this power to warp time and reality, the only thing that could save the world. They put you on such a pedestal that
I was gonna say you sound like Omega level mutant.
Yeah, you are. Like you're just you can literally go sit in your castle and just pass judgment, and everyone wants you. Everyone wants your resources. Everyone wants you to come save their lives, and everyone's like going like, "Oh, the Inquisition is such a big deal." I never felt more in charge and more like a king of an entire country in any game ever than Dragon Age Inquisition.
Everyone wants that dick.
Yeah, and I was actually one of the dragon people, so I had a giant dick.
Even more so then.
That was all Bull kept talking about. He was like my romance choice. I took the male me, basically. And it was always like, all of his comments were always like that. Like, girls like going to go for a bounce on my big dick, but I also put boys on there. And I'm like, okay.
Okay, Demon Bull.
Yeah. It was literally a line. It was like, he's like, I like the girls that go for a bounce, but I'll let you go too. And I'm like,
you'll let me?
Yeah.
I hold the Infinity Stones. Alright, next up. What character made you feel... No, that's the same one. How often do you step outside of your comfort zone of movies, games, and comics?
Not often, but I do.
Not super often. The best example that I ever did, and honestly, is, The Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac is one of my favorite games of all time now, in case you have never listened to another episode where I've said this, but it is. And fucking... I saw that game get played many times before that. Thought it looked like shit. Didn't think it looked fun. It came out on PS Plus. It was a free game. I'm subscribed to PlayStation Plus, where it gives free games every month. And it came out, and I was like, there's nothing else out at the time, and I was like, whatever, I'll try one of the free games this month. Tried it, and now it's one of my favorite games of all time. I stepped outside my comfort zone and found one of my favorite games of all time.
But that's still in gaming, though, right? Like, that's still a comfort zone where you can still sit down and play your games. What about breaking outside of that entirely? You know?
This is referring to...
Just games?
Games, movies, and comics.
Just in games, movies, and comics, or
yeah,
outside of games, movies, and comics?
No, this isn't like, do you go skydiving? This is like, you know, for me, like, you watch a lot of horror, but have you ever watched like a romantic comedy? It's not. What do you think this question is, Mike?
Well, for me, let's see. Inside of games, when I break out, I don't break out often at all. Actually, I stay.
That's really what I'm. Yeah, this is. I mean, this isn't like the jogging podcast. We're not like the.
Yeah, I get it.
What do we?
Okay.
What did you think?
We have a limited time. Let me answer the question.
No. I want to break this down. What did you think it meant?
I'm gonna answer the question. We have 3 minutes.
Did you mean that the question was giving a premise like you only do these 3 things? Have you ever done anything outside of it?
No. Anyways, I don't really break out of my comfort zones in my games very often at all. I'm usually very much stuck into anything that has an RPG element. If it doesn't, I don't touch it. I used to not touch first-person shooters at all. Like, I wouldn't do anything. BioShock was one of the ones that actually broke that for me, because it was so RPG heavy in its elements, and I never liked shooters of any kind. And that was the first one I played where I was like, oh, it can be incorporated into this really cool first-person thing. I was so big on making sure I could see my character and their costume and their outfit and what they were doing. I could not stand being in the face of it and not knowing what I looked like. And there's just this gun. And I'm usually voiceless. I was just like, I can't handle that. So BioShock was one of the first ones that broke me out of my comfort zone ever. I sat back and it had all the elements in it. And now it's become a thing. Almost all games now have an element from other ones. So it's harder to say today that I don't have... I break my comfort zone, because most games kind of cater to all of them. You know, like... Prey's coming up, and I'm actually interested in playing it. I would never play that game, but it's got all these RPG elements, crafting, and all this other stuff. Where I'm like, ooh.
It's not just a straight up, like, walk down a hall and shoot some men.
Like, I would probably never play Doom. It has no interest to me. Like, the new one. Because, like, I don't want to just charge down a hall and have things explode. Like, I don't care. But, you know, like, I do have my times where I do deviate a little bit in that context. You're right. Indie gaming is usually the main spot where I break away. Like, Firewatch was a big one. I would never have picked that up normally, but again, like the new wave of indie, everyone's talking about it. I picked that up. I picked up the Gravity one. What was it?
Oh yeah. What was it called?
Oh.
Anti-gravity. I don't know.
You're so clever. Fuck. What was that called? Anyways, so that was again the first person game where you literally just floated around for 4.5 hours.
Mm.
It wasn't a bad game, but it was definitely very slow and boring.
Mm.
Journey was a big departure for me as well.
Really? That one seems like something you just like automatically play.
No, because
to me, anyways.
It was just this game of like things that float. I'm like, I don't want to just jump in a line. Like I don't get it. Like what's the thing? And
I don't care how long my scarf is.
Yeah, like what is the point of this? And when I turned it on, everyone was just like, it's the greatest gaming experience I've ever had in my life. And I was playing it, and it was the same thing. It was just like, just pushing through silk. You're like, oh, through that whole game. Like, it was a whole departure for me. I've never played anything like that, and it was very different. But not often. Most of the time, like, when it comes down to games that are coming out, I'm like, isn't it an RPG? Does it have RPG elements? Is it fantasy-based? You know, like, I don't play Call of Duties. I don't care about my realism. I don't want to play a Spec Ops agent.
Mm.
You know? Like, no, I don't think I've ever broken my genre out into one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever, like, gone and played, like, SOCOM just cuz?
No. But I know that holds no appeal to me. I will if a game is, like, being, like, renowned as, like, you know, this is the best game this year sometimes, and I'll be, like, curious enough to give it a shot or something, but that's about as far as it goes. Like, yeah, PlayStation Plus is perfect for that, though, because, like, you just get it for free, and you're like, oh, this could be cool, so you can jump in and just be, you know, play it for a little while.
Movie-wise, I mean, like, yeah, I like my superhero movies, I like my action films, but I watch everything.
Yeah, I would say, like, if I hear it's good, I'm willing to give anything a shot.
Yeah.
Comics, I really got to hear... I have to hear some buzz about it, you know? Like, if I'm going to pick up, like, an indie comic.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't picked up a comic in a long time, and usually it's only to follow the ones that I like to, like, listen to and relate to, so, you know, like, Ultimate X-Men was one of the ones that did that. But the rest... Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty stuck to my staples with those, and I don't really pick up fresh stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, movie-wise, yeah, always everything. I don't care what it is, I'll watch it. I've watched documentaries, I've watched, you know, fucking romances, you name it, they're all good.
Next up.
Mm-hmm. Is Quiet.
What game hasn't gotten the hype / press it deserved / deserves? So it could be now, could be in the past, something you remember getting just fucking tossed aside and you were like, why wasn't this covered more? The immediate one that comes to mind for me is something we covered on our top 10 indies to watch out for this year. And I never would have known if we hadn't watched some random list, like video list of like, here's some shit coming out this year. Jenny LeClue.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen shit about Jenny LeClue. We're the only ones who've ever covered it, as far as I know, except for that other random YouTuber. Like, yeah. It was a surprise to find it. It was surprising that it looked so fucking good. And then now I'm like, it's coming out this year, and I'm just seeing no buzz about it. I've never heard anyone mention it on any of the podcasts I listen to. I think Jenny LeClue deserves like a lot more like talk. You know? It
does. It looks really, really interesting. I just had the game and I just lost it. Oh yeah, okay. So there's one that I'm really excited about, and I have a personal investment, so I feel like there should be a little bit more hype around it. I went to Toronto for the Schoolism Concept Art workshop there, and I met the art director from, I can't remember the name of the studio, but they're working on a game called We Happy Few.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got more hype than Jenny LeClue by a large gap.
It was at Xbox's E3 event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But... like, no one's talking about it. No one's going around like, I can't wait for We Happy Few. It looks like so cool. It looks like just literally all of the creepy parts of Bioshock and Fallout merged into one, and in this kind of like adventure game. It's a little bit more like choose your own adventure. There's no like action or anything like that or shooting. But it's an amazing art style with such a really interesting world built around these people who are popping pills to keep themselves happy, and then like the moment those pills fade, it turns out you might be eating a rat the whole time. Like, you know, it's really interesting. Plus, it's like that kind of like juxtaposition on the whole, like keeping the world in the white picket fence or the British perfect, you know, clean, everything's proper and everything's happy life. I love that. I love that whole idea of that game, and no one is like, I see them talking about it all the time, and I see them using their every freaking fiber they have to connect to anything. They even have it as like ad artwork for the latest 3DS Max ad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like. It's everywhere. I can see them trying it, but like it's up there, and it's just like, look at me.
You're right though. Since last like E3, I haven't really seen much on it.
It has been delayed, I think, by like almost a full year since it was supposed to be released like a lot longer ago. But you know, that being said, even then, I mean, fuck, what was that other indie game that was laid for? Hyper Light Drifter was laid for like 2 years, and
Yeah,
that had a lot of hype.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think there's the yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's hard to think back on stuff that like from years ago where like I'm sure I thought that at the time, like why isn't this getting more talk? But it's hard to think back now after so much time has passed and been like, yeah, that didn't get enough reception,
Well, I can think of a few that have grown. The ones that have like a cult growing. So Dark Cloud was one. Dark Cloud had like no fervor behind it whatsoever. It even got 2 whole games, and people today still talk about them as like these great games that just kind of slinked by. And it should have had more fervor, and it should have kept growing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to even like think about that era because like I had one friend who gamed and like I read gaming magazines and like it was like it got covered in there. So to me, it was like someone talked about it.
Jade Cocoon.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's no Jade Cocoon. Yeah, for sure.
Legend of Dragoon's a good one. It had one title. It was a huge hit, and it had its fervor at the time. But then as soon as that finished, and it was actually shot between 2 releases in that year I was talking about, both amazing releases, it didn't get the hype it deserved to continue the series on and let it keep breathing. Right? I always feel like that one needed more. Parasite Eve kind of falls in that category a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that's always been kind of like a under the shelf, like nobody fucking paid attention to it thing.
Yeah. No,
it's surprising it ever even got a sequel.
But again, it's one of those ones that needed one of those kind of fervor behind it. There's a lot of stuff actually from that generation that needed more attention. There was a Radiant Story or Valiant Story or something like that.
Oh yeah.
That was like Square Enix's apparently greatest masterpiece that like no one played.
I think that guy who did that went on to do Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yep. Yeah. But that game still, it's amazing, and like no one ever talked about it. That entire generation of like end of PS1, beginning of PS2, there was this weird gap of a lot of games that came out. It was a lot of Japanese releases especially that were just like unsung heroes that were still considered the great age of gaming, but like no one played them. So those definitely count as the ones that never really got sung. Is it just gaming that we were talking about?
It could be anything. It was gaming specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, movie-wise, God, there's tons of movies, so I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, everything I love never got enough attention.
Yeah,
Tremors didn't get enough attention.
Gremlins probably didn't even get enough attention.
Gremlins got enough attention.
No.
Gremlins is pretty well loved.
All right. Move on. Next question, sir. What do you got for me?
What is an anime that's begging to be made into a game?
A game?
This is a hard one because I feel like the ones that I want to see would be just fucking impossible to do.
Well, I mean, the big one that's kind of done, I'm sure you've seen, is the Attack on Titan game.
Yes.
There's that 3D game. That need to do better. It's not
I've
bad.
heard it's pretty fun, actually.
No, it's fun, and it's not bad.
But it seems like it could be better. That's
I want to literally like run along a rooftop, jump off, hook, and like get my physics going. Like I don't want to just be like in a perpetual slide nonstop. Like I want the physics of swinging around this thing going. So Attack on Titan's one of my big ones.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It seems like that could be done better. That's the thing. I even feel like the best Dragon Ball Z game, which is pretty fun, could still be better. It's not like polished enough or something.
Yeah.
I would love to see like a Hunter game, like a Hunter x Hunter game.
Oh.
But there's really just no way.
There's no way to capture Hunter by Hunter in a game.
No, and there's no way that you could possibly like have like make your own Nen, and have like the idea you have and have every single option available to you. There's just no way.
No.
So it's kind of hard. I mean, you could do something like we both like My Hero Academia. Like you could make your own hero going to the school, but like you'd probably have to pick from like it'd be like DC Universe Online where you're like you're a speedster or you're powerful or you're whatever.
Yeah, no, that would work though in that context. I could totally get it out of like a DC Universe Online kind of sense. But the thing about DC Universe Online when it did that was that eventually, of course, everyone would have a power set that like was like everyone else's.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm picturing this would be like a single player game probably.
Yeah. But even then, like there would be a very small amount of variation. Plus, once you've built one power set and you're playing it for a whole game, you'd be like, I want to play the other ones. So like just restricting yourself to just having ice powers would be kind of like, fuck, I want to actually have like also telekinesis. So it would be really hard. Actually, one I've always wanted is a third-person adventure Naruto game. Because I've played the fighting games. A lot of them have been really good. Some of the older ones were actually a lot of fun for me. Some of the newer ones were the Ninja Storm stuff is actually pretty cool. But like the actual idea of controlling like a ninja, and I would take it out of, like, I wouldn't want to play Naruto and repeat his story. Like, story told, done, we're done with Naruto. But, like, play inside of the ninja world, inside of Naruto's world, and, like, actually get to, like, run up the trees and hop around and, like, you know, go and hide in stealth, and then, like, you know, when someone tries to jump you, you can actually, like, leave a replacement clone. And,
Ooh, that would be
you
cool.
know, like, all that kind of shit. Like, I want to do all the,
like half Metal Gear, half, like, action game, like, fighting. That'd be kind of cool, yeah.
Because, and it'd be like a merger of an old game where you played as a ninja, and I can't remember it still, from Shadow something. Anyway, we talked
Shinobi.
Where it was literally you play as a ninja and you'd like hide on the roof and you had like a grappling hook to like swing between the roofs, and you could only do stealth kills, etc. Mix of that in with more of like the mystical shinobi techniques from Naruto. I've always wanted that game for sure. Even if it wasn't Naruto, I just want that game.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Other games that would be really cool to be turned into, or other animes that would be really cool to be turned into that. I'm trying to think of anything.
Fucking Soul Eater.
Soul Eater would work.
It would, well, yeah, because I mean, there's only so many weapons you could
just
pick.
do like Devil May Cry kind of deal, and
yeah, and you could like level up your weapon, and you know you could pick like Scythe or whatever the fuck. That you could have a whole variety of them, right?
Like a massive variety of them. Yeah,
that's the thing. And there's a Soul Eater game made, and it's like the most shitty thing I've ever seen in my life. It was on PS2, but no Japanese only, I think.
Yeah,
PS3, something like that. That's the thing. A lot of anime games just are kind of like shitty fan service. It seems like
it does.
Yeah,
it's like trying to make
and they have so much potential.
Game based on a movie, right? Like every single time you're like, well, this is not exactly the experience I'm
like,
looking at.
I don't want to like insult Japanese developers, but like give Attack on Titan license to like a Western developer and let them fucking go crazy.
Or give it to one of your major developers who handed a Square Enix.
Or not just some random like
like small art house thing there. You're like, we can turn this out in 6 months. I'm trying to think of other ones that would be really interesting. Good would be Trigun. That would be really cool. I would love to be in that world and actually play as Bash and like run around with like being the best.
They've done Gundam games, right?
Yeah.
There was a fighting game I played, but like a fighting game is like.
But different. The bigger checkmark for that is they have to get a good mech game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly, right.
Like we haven't really quite solved how to make giant robot. I mean, actually, the best one would be the most current one, the one with the jetpack dude and the machine.
Titanfall.
Yeah. I think that's probably that's the best mech game to date, obviously. And it does look really cool. Like the mech looks really neat, and the fact that it was AI and all that, the new story mode, and the actual cool jetpack dude, and jumping in and out of your
I've heard that story. I've heard the stories were like so cool in that game. I do actually really want to play that.
I do want to play like the second one for the story mission now, because like that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's the thing with the anime stuff. They defined a lot of game genres. But we haven't gotten those genres correct in gaming yet. Like a good mech game, we just basically got that with Titanfall. Or like a really good ninja game. We haven't really gotten a really great pure ninja game where you're not, at the end of the day, a samurai shooting flame from your mouth.
Why aren't they like, why? There's so much to do with ninjas, and they're just not capitalizing on it.
No.
Same with dinosaurs.
Like, I mean, Neo is like, oh, he's a ninja. He's a samurai. He's not a ninja.
Yeah, he's a samurai.
Yeah.
That's just Dark Souls in Japan. Yeah. That's all the game is.
Next up is what? Skipping? What are you doing?
I might be skipping one. It's a commonly held video game convention that a game must get more difficult as the players progress further. Why do you think this is, and what would you change about this sort of system? Or would
I would want them to go back to it. I feel like it's been lightened too much.
You feel like games are like a flat difficulty now?
Yeah, like they don't scale like they used to. Like I used to go and play a game and then like, well, as a great example, Final Fantasy 15. Back in the day with Final Fantasy, it was a struggle in the very beginning of the game. So like losing 10 hit points made you cry, and then like halfway through the game, you know, you're spending all your time praying to God you can manage enough ethers in your pot, your backpack, and your potions to keep alive. And then by the end of the game, you're powerful, right? But the final dungeon was like, okay, let's run around for 22 hours until I even bother going through the front door. Right? Yeah. And that was honestly the case. Like, you don't want to go in this place until then, and then you can actually grind the dungeon for a while before you go anywhere near that last boss, and then you can finally go after the last boss. Final Fantasy 15, you can bulldoze through that game, and I mean, like the last monsters in the dungeon before the final boss were actually the most challenging.
I was gonna say, there's at the end of that game, there was some parts in that city where I was like, I don't want to go near there.
No, like
that
was
a tough battle.
There was like the giant snakehead girls were really fucking hard, and then like the first behemoth in there was insane. Like there was a few monsters in there that were really hard at that part, but then like the final boss was basically just a cutscene. But I'm finding that trend in games in general, where like you don't need to, like when we play an RPG, you and I do that thing where you run around in an area for a bit, so you get those 5 levels ahead, so that every time you go into the next area, it's just a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And that level gap gets larger and larger, and eventually it just makes the game smoother, and it's like that's how you play an RPG. Doing that now just makes it so everything's a one-hit kill for 45 hours. You know, like I feel like we need to go back to making sure that things are harder. I want to feel challenged again by a game. Horizon was the closest thing that maintained challenge through the game up until the fucking last boss.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, at the end I felt like I could deal with basically everything.
Yeah, that's fine, but it was always a challenge. Everything was a threat, no matter what, unless you were doing your job, right? Most of the time in other games, like, 10 hours in,
I'm trying to think, because, like, I feel like maybe we play a lot of different games, but, like, you know, I feel like I do get challenged enough. You know, Doom like got harder and harder as you go on. They throw different varieties of enemies at you that you're, you know, having to deal with in these arenas and stuff. Like, trying to think some of my favorite games the last couple of years, like Metal Gear 5. Well, that's pretty samey all the way through, actually.
Yeah, like that's a good example. Original Metal Gear Solids, those bosses that came up, like I fought all of them like several times to figure out their mechanics. I mean, Google does defeat a lot of the difficulty of you sitting there trying to figure out how to beat it. Like you die twice to it, and you're like, I don't want to bother solving this, and they're like, oh, you're supposed to shoot it when a bird flies by, and you're like, oh fuck, all right. And then like the challenge is gone, and you've gotten the mechanics.
We didn't have Google when we were kids, though. No. When we were playing Metal Gear 1.
Yeah, you're like running.
There wasn't much to do.
over to whoever had a fucking strategy.
When the screen flashed and it was Psycho Mantis on screen, and the thing said Hideo, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, our neighbor had to tell us what to do. Like that was what it was. Me and Cheese Toast Kid trying to figure that shit out.
Yeah, and same here. There's lots of games where I was stuck on it for like 3 or 4 weeks until someone came along and told me the answer, or I found a strategy guide in the.
Yeah, I have so little patience now. If I can't figure something out within like 10 minutes or something, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna Google it. Like that's just what it is.
Oh, I don't even wait anymore. I'm just like, all right, who else figured it out?
I like to give myself at least the experience of like, okay, I really can't figure this out.
Well,
fuck it. Like, okay.
Fuck, I mean, for anything, I always went right for it. Mass Effect, all of the fucking remnant technology places that you go into, like have a puzzle that you have to solve in order to turn it on. They do give you decoder keys later on to help speed the process up, because it's a bit annoying because there's a lot of them. But they literally make you play a game of Sudoku to open it.
Oh, fuck Sudoku.
Yeah. And it's just with alien symbols instead of numbers or whatever the fuck it was.
Okay.
And it's literally Sudoku. And I turned this on, I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I just found a site that had all of them in a row, and I was just like, fuck this. Like, I'm not playing
When
Sudoku.
you were amping up to tell me this story, I was like, Mike, you're ruining your experience with gaming. You gotta, like, just take a little bit more. And then you told me it's Sudoku, and I was like, this is the right decision. Through and through, Mike made the right call. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing when I play that game.
Yep, you're just gonna. I'm not playing Sudoku to, like, turn on your fucking tower.
No, I didn't buy Mass Effect to play Sudoku.
No.
That's dumb.
It is dumb.
That's really dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right in some cases. Like, you know, the new Tomb Raider game, I don't feel like it got more or less challenging as it went. It felt like a flat difficulty the entire way.
But the first one did. Like, by the end when I was fighting the giant Oni, and the Oni were, like, horrifying for a long time, I was like, what the fuck are those things? By the time I got to that end of that game, I was, like, rolling everywhere and being like, oh god, don't hit me. I felt it. I felt challenged.
It felt the same for the most of the game for me. Yeah, no, I mean, you're right, yeah. Like, they're just few and far between. I also play games that just, like, I seek, like, you know, Salt and Sanctuary, where it's like, this game's kicking my ass for 45 hours, and Mega Man, you know, shit like that, where I'm just, like, repeatedly playing it.
I want it with the bosses, because, like, with, like, Horizon or any other game, I want that thing where, like, when I finished beating that boss, I was finally like, because, like, hell, Devil May Cry 2 is an awful game.
Yep.
But that last boss was, like...
What's the last boss in 2?
It's when you go down to hell and it's like that angel thingy.
Oh, is it Sparta in that one you fight?
No, it's not Sparta. It was like this weird angel thing. I forget. But whatever it was.
I only played Devil May Cry 2 once, so I don't know.
That fight, when I was a young gamer, I hadn't figured out how to like spot mechanics easily and shit. I couldn't even figure out how to hurt it. Every time I got anywhere near it, it killed me in 2 swipes, and I was like maxed on so many shit. So like I ended up like doing a stupid strategy that was my strategy. It was like I would back all the way to the edge of the entire arena and just keep dodge rolling sideways while I just unloaded my infinite ammo Ebony and Ivory at it, which made its health go down by like 0.1 every single, and I just do that infinitely until it would switch to its next stage and then roll the other direction. And it barely worked. Like, it would keep hitting me and killing me, and I did that like 45 times until eventually it did it. And I was like, when I finally did it, I was like, fucking good, done. Fuck. I want that sensation back.
Yeah, I get that enough where I feel satisfied.
But you play those games that are actually for like reflex challenge. That's the big one, right? Like, you like the idea of playing Nier, where I'm like, I don't want to play a game where I'm spotting patterns. And
like one of my favorite games of all time is like Bayonetta. Yeah. So like, I'm into that kind of thing.
I'm not into like the high like reflex kind of stuff, but I do want to experience a challenge where like I take a sigh of relief at the end.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you envision anyone coming into the console market or dropping out?
Nintendo.
I don't think right now.
Not now.
Nintendo on the rise right now.
Not at this very second, no.
Before the Switch launched, yes, I would have said Nintendo for sure.
No, but I can still.
Although, like, Microsoft is like, they're not like doing poorly, but like they're just so like blah this generation.
If the what is it called, the Saber, the fucking what is it?
Scorpio,
whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Doesn't do well. It will spell a lot of problems for them. But this is different on a business context because Microsoft in itself is in a precocious scenario right now because a lot of their hardware is not succeeding. Actually, almost all of it. Like their fancy Surface, which is a gorgeous piece of technology. I would love to have that thing. It's not selling because it's not a standard and like it's not going to replace a Cintiq, unfortunately. Like it should, but because it's way better. But anyways, it's not. The Zune failed. The fucking the Windows phones failed. Like everything failed, right? They own almost every hardware producing company in the world, right? So that's a big difference to them. But when it comes down to the expense of paying for a game, for considering all the losses they're experiencing in every other market.
I mean, they paid for like 3 years of development on Scalebound and they're canceling it. You know, it's like, but just this generation, they just. No offense to you if you own an Xbox, I'm sure you can play multi-platform games. There's been a lot of great multi-platform games, but like, it's just seemed so like. Bleh. Like there's just been barely anything.
Yeah, well,
I played Quantum Break, and that was basically it.
The Xbox One release was a giant booner.
It was a giant booner.
It was no good. It was kind of a joke. And despite them recovering, they did come back on a lot of.
That's the thing. Like the numbers for them are better at this time in this generation than it was for the Xbox 360 last generation, and they were doing really well last generation. So they're doing like well. It just doesn't like feel like they are. They're just doing nothing. You're not seeing them in marketing a lot.
That's
like,
the thing. If you're going to talk about to a company and be like, who do you want to invest in, and you're going to go Sony or Microsoft right now, right? Sony has more press, more exposure, more connections. It's just doing better.
They're doing stuff that like.
But it's also in every aspect. It's not just like they're making better games and they have a better system or something. It's not about that. It's about Sony is doing a better job at being a company and selling their console.
Yeah, and they're just like they're coming out with like people on stage at E3 who I like more, and they're doing like little initiatives that they have the PlayStation Experience event, which is a cool event we look forward to now. Where they have great announcements. They keep punching us in the face with like, look how fucking cool we are. Look at all these big announcements we have.
And they listen to us, right? Like even with the PlayStation 4 release, when we were all talking about exchanging games and still getting our discs and everything like that, they're like, well, we heard about that, so here it is, right? Like There feels like there's a response to the crowd demand, while Microsoft feels like it's not doing.
They have a program called like #PS2 to PS4 where they're porting over like they're like, hey, what from the PS2 library do you want to see on here? And if enough things get voted on, then they bring that one over. They just need to know what our priorities are. And to be fair, Xbox is doing like the Xbox backwards compatible thing, which is cool. They're just not making as big a deal about it. It seems so much more like community driven in PlayStation, where they're like, what do you guys want?
It's a weird shift because like Xbox was always about community. They were the definer of the online community with the Xbox
Live.
And then that kind of birthed out more into Steam for the PC world, and then like the PlayStation.
And Xbox always used to do this like, it was like Summer of Arcade, and they did like Castle Crashers and Braid and Limbo, and like it was a big deal.
All of their content very much for free. Like the C# library from Microsoft is just like, just have it, everyone. Go program, make games for me.
And it seems like they just kind of like lost their way. Like now, again, PS4 is getting like a ton of better indies, and like, but Xbox, you had that fucking corner. Like you had Summer of Arcade, and like, but then one year you just stopped, and then it just never came back.
And then you didn't give that support for Xbox One. You were like, no, we're closing down the doors. It's harder for you to get access to. We don't want you involved. Like, it was very much like, why are you taking a reverse on your stance from before? While PlayStation's like, you guys did that right. We're going to do that now. And they're not even doing it as well as Xbox Live Arcade did it in its day.
No,
like,
that's the thing.
That's the thing. Like, you guys could beat them in it, but you're not doing it. So you're right. Like, Microsoft's in a precarious situation in the console world for sure. I still think that, like, despite Nintendo doing great because the Switch is doing well and the Zelda's doing really well, they keep making continually weird decisions. That
we only have 40 seconds left. Sorry. Do you see anyone coming in to the race too?
Like adding?
Yeah, like a fourth console.
No, God, no.
I think at some point Amazon might do something.
Oh, that's a good one.
They have Amazon Game Studios and they own Twitch. I could see them making a console where they're like, you press this button, you're streaming to Twitch right away. You know, that kind of thing. Like, they're the only ones. I don't, Apple's not gonna do it. Fucking Samsung's not gonna do it. No, another company. Amazon could do it. They have internal game studios where they're developing. They have Amy Hennig working on a Star Wars game. Then they own Twitch. Like, there's something there where they could just be like, boop, here's a console. You get all this
another
shit.
one actually is that if they ever had a spot in it, which they don't, it would be Google.
Yeah.
Google could do it. I don't think they have an interest in getting into that world. I think they just own the parts of it that they need.
But they're like big enough and in good enough shape that I can see it.
And they would do a good enough job that they'd make a console. So that's the last little argument on the whole thing is like, would any of these companies make something good? Samsung would just catch fire, so no. But
harsh,
but true. Like go through a lot of them. No, they would never. Steam tried to make a fucking console. They couldn't do a good enough job at making a good enough console to make it work. Like,
yeah, that was all a mistake.
Yeah, that was all a mistake. I don't think anyone else can invest enough money to break into that market in comparison to studios or companies like Microsoft that had the money to blow.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, like Amazon and Google would be the only two that had the money that could invest into making a product that would be quality enough for us to want to invest into.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't see... I see Amazon maybe possibly in the future actually trying that.
Yeah, totally. I could see it.
But Google, I don't see an interest. I don't.
There's the only other one big enough to like...
But they're just kind of like, whatever, I already own the internet.
I mean, yeah, Google at some point is going to be like, we own everything, so whatever. All right. That was another 5-minute warning in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
If you enjoyed what you listened to, you can find me on Twitter at TheCalG. You can find Mike at Mike Kent Draws. You can find Pens and Pixels across all social medias. Pick your poison.
Yep. So please make sure to drop us a like, a share, and a subscribe on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Those ratings and likes and subscribes and all that stuff really help us out. If you want to talk to us in any fashion, you can leave us a comment again on YouTube, SoundCloud, or iTunes. And you can either also send us your questions by Twitter or by email, which is at meetpensandpixels@gmail.com. And be sure to drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Just fucking nailed it. Just fucking nailed it.
Every time.